Hey Rayleigh and anybody else watching, and welcome back to another message from your father. Number one, forgive my voice, a little raspy today, so if I'm just mouthing the second half of the words, just be cool, just go with it. Ezekiel 5 through 9. Now we've been seeing Ezekiel, due to God's calling on his life, at least this portion of his life, is to act out the suffering that the Israelites are about to go through. And it's pretty brutal. I mean, he's looking at laying on his side days on end, nights on end, eating his food over manure that has been cooked over manure. And he's doing this for a while. I think we were looking at about a year on one side, and then rotating to his other side to show the other. So we have the Israelites and Judah all kind of wrapped up into one with what he is displaying here. So we're going to continue looking at that today, but also a prophecy against the mountains. We're going to be looking at the judgment for the Israelites in their idolatry specifically. So Ezekiel 5 through 9 today. So chapter 5. Now, son of man, take a sharp sword and use it as a barber's razor to shave your head and your beard. Then take a set of scales and divide up the hair. When the days of your siege come to an end, burn a third of the hair with fire inside the city. Take a third and strike it with the sword all around the city, and scatter a third to the wind, for I will pursue them with drawn sword. But take a few strands of hair, and tuck them away in the folds of your garment. Again, take up a few of these and throw them into the fire and burn them up. A fire will spread from there to the whole house of Israel. This is what the sovereign Lord says. This is Jerusalem, which I have set in the center of the nations, with countries all around her. Yet, in her wickedness, she has rebelled against my laws and decrees more than the nations and countries around her. She has rejected my laws and has not followed my decrees. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You have been more unruly than the nations around you, and have not followed my decrees or kept my laws. You have not even conformed to the standards of the nations around you. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I myself am against you, Jerusalem, and I will inflict punishment on you in the sight of the nations. Because of all your detestable idols, I will do to you what I have never done before and will never do again. Therefore, in your midst, fathers will eat their children, and children will eat their fathers. I will inflict punishment on you and scatter all your survivors to the winds. Therefore, as surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, because you have defied my sanctuary with all your vile images and detestable practices, I myself will withdraw my favor. I will not look on you with pity or spare you. A third of your people will die in the plague, or perish by famine inside you. A third will fall by the sword outside your walls, and a third I will scatter to the winds and pursue with drawn sword. Then my anger will cease, and my wrath against them will subside, and I will be avenged. And when I have spent my wrath upon them, they will know that I, the Lord, have spoken in my zeal. I will make you a ruin and a reproach among the nations around you in the sight of all who pass by. You will be a reproach and a taunt, a warning and an object of horror to the nations around you when I inflict punishment on you in anger and in wrath and with stinging rebuke. I, the Lord, have spoken. When I shoot at you with my deadly and destructive arrows of famine, I will shoot to destroy you. I will bring more and more famine upon you and cut off your supply of food. I will send famine and wild beasts against you, and they will leave you childless. Plague and bloodshed will sweep through you. I will bring the sword against you. I, the Lord, have spoken. Chapter 6. The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, set your face against the mountains of Israel. Prophesy against them and say, O mountains of Israel, hear the word of the sovereign Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says to the mountains and hills, to the ravines and valleys. I am about to bring a sword against you, and I will destroy your high places. Your altars will be demolished, and your incense altars will be smashed. I will slay your people in front of your idols. I will lay the dead bodies of the Israelites in front of their idols, and I will scatter your bones around your altars. Wherever you live, the towns will be laid waste and the high places demolished, so that your idols will be laid waste and devastated, your idols smashed and ruined, your incense altars broken down, and what you have made wiped out. Your people will fall slain among you, and you will know that I am the Lord. But I will spare some For some of you will escape the sword when you are scattered among the lands and the nations. Then the nations where they have been carried captive, those who escape, will remember me, how I have been grieved by their adulterous hearts, which have turned away from me, and by their eyes, which have lusted after their idols. They will loathe themselves for the evil that they have done and for all their detestable practices, and they will know that I am the Lord. I did not threaten in vain to bring this calamity on them. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Strike your hands together and stamp your feet and cry out, Alas, because of all the wicked and detestable practices of the house of Israel, for they will fall by the sword, famine, and plague. He that is far away will die of the plague, and he that is near will fall by the sword. And he that survives is spared. He that survives and is spared will die of famine. So will I spend my wrath upon them. And they will know that I am the Lord, when the people lie slain among their idols around their altars, on every high hill and on all the mountain tops, under every spreading tree and every lofty oak, places where they offered fragrant incense to all their idols. And I will stretch my hand against them, and make them make the land a desolate waste, from the desert to Diblah, wherever they live. Then they will know that I am the Lord. Chapter 7. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, this is what the sovereign Lord says to the land of Israel. The end. The end has come upon the four corners of the land. The end is now upon you, and I will unleash my anger against you. I will judge you according to your conduct, and repay you for all your detestable practices. I will not look on you with pity or spare you. I will surely repay you for your conduct and the detestable practices among you. Then you will know that I am the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Disaster, an unheard of disaster is coming. The end has come. The end has come. It has roused itself against you. It has come. Doom has come upon you, you who dwell in the land. The time has come. The day is near. There is panic, not joy, upon the mountains. I am about to pour out my wrath on you and spend my anger against you. I will judge you according to your conduct and will repay you for all your detestable practices. I will not look on you with pity or spare you. I will repay you in accordance with your conduct and the detestable practices among you. Then you will know that it is I, the Lord, who strikes the blow. The day is here. It has come. Doom has burst forth. The rod has budded. Arrogance has blossomed. Violence has grown into a rod to punish wickedness. None of the people will be left. None of the crowd. No wealth. Nothing of value. The time has come. The day is arrived. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor seller grieve, for wrath is upon the whole crowd. The seller will not recover the land he has sold as long as both of them live, for the vision concerning the whole crowd will not be reversed. Because of their sins, not one of them will preserve his life. Though they blow the trumpet and get everything ready, no one will go into battle, for my wrath is upon the whole crowd. Outside is the sword, inside is the plague and famine. Those who are in the country will die by the sword, and those who are in the city will be devoured by famine and plague. All who survive and escape will be in the mountains, moaning like doves of the valleys, each because of his sins. Every hand will go limp, and every knee will become as weak as water. They will put on sackcloth and be clothed with terror. Their faces will be covered with shame, and their heads will be shaved. They will throw their silver into the streets, and their gold will be an unclean thing. The silver and gold will not be able to save them in the day of the Lord's wrath. They will not satisfy their hunger or fill their stomachs with it, for it has made them stumble into sin. They were proud of their beautiful jewelry and used it to make their detestable idols and vile images. Therefore, I will turn these into an unclean thing for them. I will hand it all over as plunder to foreigners and as loot to the wicked of the earth, and they will defile it. I will turn my face away from them, and they will desecrate my treasured place. Robbers will enter it and desecrate it. Prepare chains, because the land is full of bloodshed, and the city is full of violence. I will bring the most wicked of the nations to end the possession of their homes. I will put an end to the pride of the mighty, and their sanctuaries will be desecrated. When terror comes, they will seek peace, but there will be none. Calamity upon calamity will come, and rumor upon rumor. They will try to get a vision from the prophets. The teaching of the law by the priest will be lost, as will the counsel of the elders. The king will mourn, the prince will be clothed with despair, and the hands of the people of the land will tremble. I will deal with them according to their conduct, and by their own standards I will judge them. Then they will know that I am the Lord. Chapter 8. In the 6th year, in the 6th month, on the 5th day, while I was sitting in my house, and the elders of Judah were sitting before me, the hand of the sovereign Lord came upon me there. I looked, and I saw a figure like that of a man. From what appeared to be his waist down, he was like fire, and from there up his appearance was as bright as glowing metal. He stretched out what looked like a hand and took me by the hair of my head. The Spirit lifted me up between earth and heaven, and in visions of God, he took me to Jerusalem, to the entrance to the north gate of the inner court, where the idol that provokes to jealousy stood. And there before me was the glory of the God of Israel, as in the vision I had seen in the plain. Then he said to me, Son of man, look towards the north. So I looked, and at the entrance of the north of the city of the altar I saw an idol of jealousy. And he said to me, Son of man, do you see what they are doing? The utterly detestable things the house of Israel is doing here, things that will drive me far away from my sanctuary. But you will see things that are even more detestable. Then he brought me to the entrance to the court, and I looked, and I saw a hole in the wall. He said to me, Son of man, now dig into the wall. So I dug into the wall and saw a doorway there. And he said to me, Go in and see what the wicked and detestable things that they are doing there. So I went in and I looked, and I saw portrayed all over the walls all kinds of crawling things and detestable animals, and all the idols of the house of Israel. In front of them stood 70 elders of the house of Israel. Jazaniah, son of Shaphan, was standing among them. Each had a censer in his hand, and a fragrant cloud of incense was rising. He said to me, Son of man, have you seen what the elders of the house of Israel are doing in the darkness, each at the shrine of his own idol? They say, The Lord does not see us. The Lord has forsaken this land. Again, he said, You will see them doing things that are even more detestable. Then he brought me to the entrance of the north gate of the Lord, and I saw a woman sitting there, mourning for Tammuz. He said to me, Do you see this, Son of man? You will see things that are even more detestable than this. He then brought me into the inner court of the house of the Lord. And there, at the entrance to the temple, between the portico and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces towards the east. They were bowing down to the sun in the east. He said to me, Have you seen this, Son of man? Is it a trivial matter for the house of Judah to do the detestable things they are doing here? Must they also fill the land with violence and continually provoke me to anger? Look at them, putting the branch to their nose. Therefore, I will deal with them in anger. I will not look on them with joy or with pity or spare them. Although they shout in my ears, I will not listen to them. Excuse me. In chapter 9. Then I heard him call out in a loud voice, Bring the guards of the city, each with a weapon in his hand. And I saw 6 men coming from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with a deadly weapon in his hand. With them was a man clothed in linen, who had a writing kit at his side. They came in and stood beside the bronze altar. Now the glory of God of Israel went up from above the cherubim, where it had been, and moved it to the threshold of the temple. Then the Lord called to the man clothed in linen, who had the writing kit at his side, and he said to him, Go throughout the city of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of those who grieve and lament over all the detestable things that are done in it. As I listened, he said to the others, Follow him through the city, and kill, without showing pity or compassion. Slaughter old men, young men, and the maidens, women, and children, but do not touch anyone who has the mark. Begin at my sanctuary. So they began with the elders who were in front of the temple. Then he said to them, Defile the temple and fill the courts with the slain. Go. So they went out and began killing throughout the city. While they were killing, I was left alone. I fell face down, crying out, Sovereign Lord, are you going to destroy the entire remnant of Israel in this outpouring of your wrath on Jerusalem? He answered me, The sin of the house of Israel and Judah is exceedingly great. The land is full of bloodshed, and the city is full of injustice. They say, The Lord has forsaken the land. The Lord does not see. So I will not look on them with pity or spare them, but I will bring down on their own heads what they have done. Then the man in linen with the writing kit at his side brought back word saying, I have done as you have commanded. It's interesting here. I know that God doesn't change. And I think the important thing to recognize from that is we see that this judgment against God's people is so incredibly severe because they don't have those repentant hearts that turn to him, because they keep sliding back into what they have been doing. They're stubborn, incredibly stubborn. And yet, even when we look at Jesus's life, some of his harshest judgments are for those that would profess to believe. Now, not believe in him, but believe in the law. So people that say, hey, I know God. I've spent so much of my life, excuse me, so much of my life in the Word of God. But when it was standing in front of them, they didn't recognize it. So my prayer for you, Rayleigh, is I pray that you recognize that God's standard for those who believe is perfection. He wants perfection from us. And we can't give that. All we can give is just filthy rags as works. But we can also, when we believe in Christ, we look to him, and God looks to him and sees our life. And therefore, that's why Jesus died. And when he looks at us, he sees Jesus' life. So that's the only reason that we are saved, is we put our hope and our faith and our trust in Christ as that atonement. Because if we don't, then we're going to suffer the same consequence as the people of Israel who profess to believe, but they weren't showing it with their actions. So it is so, so important that we not continue on sinning, and that is a lifetime battle, but also recognize the price that Christ paid, because it could not have been more severe, and yet it couldn't have been more important. Anyway, Rayleigh, know that I love you. I'm praying for you. For anyone else that's joining as well, as always, I appreciate you so much, and I'll plan on seeing you tomorrow. Have a good one.